This episode is brought to you by West Coast Beach, a year-round beach volleyball club on the west side of Los Angeles in Santa Monica, California. At West Coast Beach, we aim to get 1% better every day, both on and off the court. You can find more info about us at westcoastvbc.com and on Instagram with handle at westcoastvbc. All right, I'm here with Garry Gilliam. Garry, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Garry, you went to Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You played football at Penn State as a tight end and offensive tackle. And you also double majored in advertising and PR. You played for the Seattle Seahawks, left and right tackle as an undrafted rookie. You also played for the San Francisco 49ers, and you're the founder and CEO of the Bridge Eco Village, which is thebridgeecovillage.com. Your IG is at Garry_Gilliam. That's Garry with 2 R's. And once again, Garry, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in, man. Garry, what does living an inspired life mean to you, man?
Oh, wow. Coming off with the heavy hitters. Living an inspired life. I think that kind of goes to a saying, nothing of myself is original. I'm a sum of everyone I've ever met. And normally it's the people that inspire you the most that you kind of emulate, right? And then by you doing that and being a sum of all those things, hopefully you're then inspiring other people. So I would say nurturing those relationships that inspire you so that you can then mirror those to other people and be an inspiration to them. I would say relationships is living an inspired life.
I love that, man. I love it. I've been following your story and I'm really inspired by you. And before we started the podcast, I was telling you, like, what's really inspiring me to what's really inspiring about your story to me is what you're doing now with it's not so much what you've done on the field. That's great. But what you're doing now, talk a little bit about where you've been and where you're at now and where you're going with the framework of being inspired.
Okay. Where I've been, let's see. I grew up in a private boarding school for orphans, a pretty small school. So my chances of getting a scholarship to play at a big Division I football school was very small, but accomplished that. Went on to play at Penn State with Joe Paterno and Bill O'Brien.
Throughout your life, you seem like you always just been inspired, but have there ever been any moments where you've just felt uninspired as an athlete?
Oh man, uninspired as an athlete. Well, shoot.
Yeah, I know it's a weird question, but I'm just thinking back in my playing career. Like every once in a while, like you're tired or you're just like something, you just feel heavy, or like psychologically heavy. Like, yeah. Can you relate to that at all? Just
yeah. So in those times, you got to refer back to your why. Right? There's 2 different whys. There's your little why, which is why you're playing the sport, which is probably to win a game or get a trophy or play with your boys or whatever it is. But then there's a big why, and in most cases, if you're an athlete, you're trying to become a professional athlete or you are a professional athlete. And the reason you're trying to do that is, at least in my case, personally, my big why was always to make sure my family was okay, right? Like, all right, I don't feel like practicing today, but is that an excuse to give up on my family? Because especially in the NFL, like you have one bad practice, that could very well be the straw that broke the camel's back and you're gone. You don't have the opportunity to have a bad day or a bad play or a string of bad plays. So you got to forget if you did have a bad play, show that you're coachable, take the coaching and move on. But as long as you keep that big why, right? For me, it was my family. Now that's all right. Well, I don't have an excuse to really have a bad day. If I have one, all right, let me redirect this energy to be more productive with it, and keep in mind the fam is on your back, right? Be the CEO of your last name.
Okay, yeah. So we were just talking about that curiosity, and just talk a little bit about where this idea of the Bridge Eco Village came from.
Yeah, loaded question. In terms of curiosity, shoot, I was always a curious kid. I was the kid that, like, if somebody was like, 2 + 2 is 4, I was a kid like, well, like why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who says that 2 is 2? Like, why can't 2 be 3? And like, you know, I was the kid that really wanted the like the real description of everything.
Sure.
And if someone didn't have the answer, I went and found it. Like I went and did research and explored my curiosity to really satisfy it, which led me to be interested in a bunch of different things. You know, sports is actually probably the least of which I'm interested in. You know, being big and athletic and intelligent helps in sports. You know, but if you ask anybody who grew up with me, like who I am, they'll be like, oh, he's a nerd. Like that dude. You always talk about something off the wall. Like that's who I've always been. And how that kind of correlates to the bridge, I would say takes a stop at Penn State in my business degree. And not just, you know, that curiosity and that observation of my surroundings eventually led to seeing a lot of different points of pain. And what we learned in business was with those points of pain, if you provide a business, a service, or a good that solves that point of pain, not only are you going to make a lot of money, but you're going to help a lot of people, right? So as I move through society and I see these points of pain, not just like small points of pain, but like really big ones, like hunger and education and home ownership rates and financial literacy. And, you know, some of these things, it's like, well, shoot, like how do we really create a solution for the lack of information? And that's really all it is. It's just a lack of information, opportunity for people to educate themselves on these different things. So then that curiosity and that observations of things and putting solutions to these points of pain, then obviously being able to make a significant amount of money, be educated at Penn State and also have great relationships and networks. Then it was like, all right, well, how do we present this to the world? What do we do here?
Right.
So now flashback to Milton Hershey School and the way that the town of Hershey was actually set up by the great chocolatier Milton Hershey himself. The town was actually founded for his chocolate factory workers. He didn't want his workers to have to go anywhere else out of the town to get what they needed. So he established a theater, a park, a school, grocery stores, like an entire town, essentially a place for you to work, eat, live, learn, and play. Then he created the school itself, which also has everything that you need from the time that you're in kindergarten all the way through graduation, spaces for you to work, eat, live, learn, and play, and be educated tremendously. So I was in that environment most of my life. So I saw what it could do for a kid who came from nothing. Talent is evenly distributed, but resources and opportunity are not.
Wow.
So that means the next Einstein very well may be on Market Street, but she doesn't know it because she's never been exposed to some of those things. So it's our job to take our funds, take our opportunities and our environments and create them for other people so that they can reach self-actualization, right? That's really what the bridge is really about, right? But before we can start to talk to a person about what it means to be a man or a woman or an entrepreneur or a spiritual person, we got to take care of the base level of that pyramid, right? The shelter, the food, the water, right? I can't talk to you about these entrepreneurial things and investing if your stomach is sitting there growling. You don't have the base here, right? Then we got to take a step up, right? Safety, security, love and belonging, self-esteem, right? You got to stack all those things up before everyone can start to vibrate at the top of that pyramid. Right? They got to be, it's not one entity does this part of it, this entity does that part of it. You got to combine those things together intentionally, right? With a true mission and process of getting it done. So that's really what the bridge, in terms of those curiosities, that's really what it came out to be. It's really, you're right. It started as curiosities and trying to find solutions for those problems and putting an actual plan in place.
Awesome. One more time, just tell folks how they can find you and just any websites you want to mention or anything like that.
Yeah, simple. Thebridge.com. Our socials are linked at the bottom of that website, as well as, you know, any other stuff that you want to learn about the bridge is there. You can find me on Instagram at Garry_Gilliam. That's Gary with 2 R's. And aside from that, go subscribe to our website and Go buy some merch. We got hats and sweaters and, things like that. That's also linked on the website. And aside from that, shoot, let's build.
Let's build. Hey, man. Well, thank you so much, Garry, and we'll talk soon.
And I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If you're looking to start a podcast or you have a podcast and you're looking for editing services, hit up my guys, Oliver and Garrett at DAF Global. They're awesome. They help me with this podcast and they take care of all kinds of different services like editing and audio enhancement, and they're great to work with. They're also offering a 10% discount to all Within the Game listeners. So hit my guys up at DAF Global on Instagram and also on their website, www.dafglobal.co.uk.